Hello, and welcome to the Allison Transmission Vehicle Environmental Test Center in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Matt Georgi, and today we're talking with Jean Roos and David Proctor from Allison Transmission.
Hi, my name is Jean Roos. I am the Managing Director of Saleable and Strategic Engineering Services at Allison Transmission.
Hello, I'm David Proctor, General Manager of Allison Innovative Solutions. I'm in charge of the Vehicle Environmental Test Center.
David, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
And how are you, Jean?
Good.
So what we're here today to talk about is this incredible facility that we're sitting in today that you might, from time to time during the interview, hear the dyne kicking up and kicking off. We've heard a lot of buzz about the center. What is the VET and what makes it unique?
Yeah, so thanks for being here. We're happy to have you. And you're right, there's buzz on because the dyne's running and because we've got a really great facility that we're very, very proud of. So the Vehicle Environmental Test Center that we've built here is an industry-leading facility that allows OEMs, bodybuilders, suppliers, end users to satisfy their vehicle testing needs. It's really about driving more efficient and effective product development for the OEM suppliers and bodybuilders and getting their technology to the marketplace faster. And then for the end users, the VET also provides the opportunity to evaluate the configuration of technologies that make up these increasingly complex vehicle systems that our end users have to get their work done. And we know that our end users, the owner-operators, the fleets, they are trying to maximize every dollar from their investment in their equipment. And the Vehicle Environmental Test Center that we have is all about helping our end users, OEM suppliers, do those things. Compress their time to market, choose technologies that are going to return on investment.
To add on to what Jean was talking about, the facility allows you to test any time of the year with any type of environmental condition that you want. So, for example, if you want to test cold in the middle of summer, we can provide that resource. The same is true for testing hot in the middle of winter time. And that's the advantage that the VET has to offer in regards to reduced development time. You don't have to wait on the environment to provide you the right conditions for your testing. It is all here, available any point, any time of the year. And it also provides a very repeatable scenarios to where we can repeat the test at the same temperature levels and the same conditions time and time again.
So one of the things that we would think about, some examples of how this works is that, David mentioned that we can test any temperature, any time of the year, and that breaks what we call a seasonal dependency in terms of product development. And that's really important for compressing product development times and that getting technology to the marketplace faster. And that's what is needed because the technologies that are coming into play for vehicles have the potential to really innovate and even disrupt how trucking and commercial vehicles work, right? And the sooner that we get those technologies as OEMs and suppliers and bodybuilders, the sooner those technologies can be available to the marketplace, the sooner that the end users are working better and working more productively, right? And that's what we want. But then the fleet owners and operators really get that opportunity then to say, okay, you know what, I'm looking at that technology and I'm going, I don't know if that's going to be the best investment for me. Does it really make a difference? And we know that the fleets and owner operators have big decisions to make about their equipment investments. And so what the VET offers for them is the opportunity to come here and not worry about Mother Nature and not worry about traffic and those sorts of things. We offer the opportunity for them to come into an environment where we control those things. We can simulate their exact driving conditions that they have on their routes. Traditionally, what we understand that our fleets and owner-operators are doing when they're making these vehicle choices is they're investing a huge amount of time and resources to evaluate technologies, and they're doing it in one of two ways. Either they're spending the investment to go to a proving grounds, which still makes them at the whim of Mother Nature, right? Or they're putting the products into service and operation in their fleets and collecting data on them over a long time. Well, that's really expensive to do and quite an investment. Think about being able to do and understand fuel economy in just a few days and not worry about the fact that was the sun shining that day? Was the wind blowing? Was traffic heavier on that public road operation that it should have been? Now, if we can control all those things and completely take them out of the equation. But the other thing that we have the ability to do is we have the ability to actually put that variation back in a quantified and specific way so that we can tell you how sensitive is this investment in this option going to be to, is the wind blowing very hard? Is the temperature much different? Is the grades? I have trucks that run on flatland versus I have others that run in hilly country. Do I want this option for both of those configurations of my vehicle, or do I want it to be different? We can put in or take out variation in testing as we want in this laboratory environment. And it's very, very powerful for really knowing what matters when it comes to your equipment selections.
How important is that ability to recreate a consistent, stable test so that you have a larger information background to make your tweaks and to engineer product?
Yeah, I think from the standpoint of having that information that's consistent and quality data, engineers can make decisions on what is working well and what isn't, factoring out all the variation they may come across when they're on the road type scenarios. As Gene mentioned, with a controlled environment, you can be very precise in what the data that you're getting, such that you understand what the inputs and outputs are, and you can make adjustments according to that.
Well, so the idea of controlling variation is really important in product development, because when you have uncertainty in the decisions that you're making, they're calculated risks that you're taking with understanding how your product is going to perform in the environments when you're actually using it. Well, the more that we can reduce that uncertainty, which we can when we're controlling every variable in a laboratory environment, then the more, you're more confident in your answer. You can feel better that, hey, this product that I'm developing is going to work that way in that environment, or this feature that I'm thinking about buying is going to benefit me across my entire fleet, not just the fleet that runs on that specific duty cycle with that driver.
One of the key things is when you're driving on the road with the variabilities, a lot of times you'll interpolate data that you may not have captured because the conditions weren't quite right. And so you take some risk as far as interpolating what that reaction will be or that performance will be. Here in the vet, we can eliminate that interpolation because we can provide that environment such that you've got hard facts and data to go by to make your evaluation.
So can you tell me, obviously we're sitting in a facility that didn't exist, a year ago. And you're testing today's technology, but it seems like there's really an emphasis on what's going to work tomorrow. Can you talk to us about how this facility is set up to meet the needs of engineers looking for new directions, new opportunities?
Yeah, so let me address that first, and then I think I'll throw it over to David here for a little bit more expansion. But the vision for the Vehicle Environmental Test Facility came out of Allison's own needs to develop products more quickly and to facilitate our innovation. And so what we see in the marketplace is vehicle system complexity is increasing at a rate never seen before. And so there's optimization activities that have to occur now at a vehicle system level that have always been needed at some level, but as the complexity goes up, there's just a need for better control over how you optimize those systems and optimize them not just as a single subsystem in isolation from all the other systems, but as an entire vehicle system. And this becomes even greater and more of an impact with electric vehicles as those systems come into play, because they require so much integration into the vehicle systems. So at Allison, it's our legacy and history to produce complex products that are integrated well into our vehicles, and that we innovate in that environment and that people can count on our systems to operate there. Well, we're after here providing a service that does the same thing, but on the service side, right? We're after providing a capability that takes that complexity and makes it something that you can optimize and innovate against. And that's what's going to drive where the industry needs to go to meet the demands of what's going on in the real world. So David, I don't know if you want to say more about how the facility can specifically do that, but that's from a broader perspective why we built the facility.
Yeah, Gene, thanks. One of the key things I want to make sure our audience understands is the ability that we have here our goal is to reduce lead times in testing and to be as efficient as possible. So one example of that would be electric vehicles, obviously need to be charged in order to run, and we can provide a energy source that is a constant supply of energy such that you eliminate the charging times. So if you want to come in and test, we've proven the fact that we can save 40% of downtime due to charging by using our emulators, which emulates the battery, or can also be used as a charging feature, or a constant power supply. And that process allows us to run the vehicle in a constant mode that most companies or testing facilities don't have that capability. So it's definitely something that can reduce lead times from a testing perspective. And we're all about efficiency. That's the one thing that's the key takeaway from this facility is we want to be efficient at providing a test, and we also want to provide good quality data.
So specifically building on that, are you able to, for instance, test we'll say bus, an electric bus? Can you run that as if the battery is at 40% charged right now? Are you able to do tests like that?
Yes, we can. We can run the battery, simulate the battery at different charge levels. We can also apply different loads. So if you're running a PTO system on a vehicle like a refuse truck, we can see what the draw is on the battery from that perspective too, and really provide you the ability to evaluate all of your aspects of your power systems on the vehicle to see what the cause and effect is going to be.
Now, you guys have both touched on, having all of this access in one building. Would one of you like to kind of walk us through some of the different rooms, as the dyne kicks up again behind us, kind of, what you can expect here if you would come on a visit, or, how you can help someone solve their problems?
So the vet facility contains 2 environmental chassis dynes. Both are capable of minus 54 degrees Fahrenheit and as high as 125 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition to that, it also offers altitudes up to 18,000 feet, and we can do emissions testing that are compliant to 1066. We have electric hybrid capabilities, so we have power sources that can emulate batteries as well as provide a constant battery power source. And if we want to provide additional testing for your accessories, such as PTOs, we can provide electrical testing from that perspective. Our dynes are also capable of doing different road simulations. We have pre-defined road simulations that we can program, as well as grades and different loads on the vehicles. So if you bring me a plain chassis and you want to apply a load to simulate a refuse truck, for example, we can apply up to 40,000 pounds to the chassis to simulate that condition that the vehicle will see in the real world application. And we can do all this type of testing within hours or days, depending on what the need is. So again, we're not depending on the environment, road conditions. And as Gene mentioned earlier, we do provide a very safe environment from the standpoint it's on a dyne, it's controlled, it's tied down. We don't have to deal with traffic. And so when you're testing prototype vehicles, that provides a better situation for the public and for the company doing the testing.
All of these capabilities are in one place. And so that's a differentiator that we have in the marketplace. We're differentiated from many other facilities in, first of all, being a commercial vehicle facility. There are not a lot of these facilities in existence in North America, certainly. There are 2 that I can think of, but neither of those is available for external third parties to come in and utilize. And that's, one of the things that, as Allison is continuing its legacy of helping the world work better, we're wanting to bring this innovation in how products are developed and products are evaluated to the marketplace because we see that growing need for that innovation and that capability to be there, right? And so this is really just an extension of everything that Allison Transmission has been for its 100+ years of existence, right? And so we're differentiated in that way from those other facilities because we're heavy duty commercial, because we're making our facility available to external parties to come in to test their capabilities. And then, like you said, because we have all of this capability in one place. You don't have to go anywhere else.
Well, I think another thing that is worth talking about is that you're centrally located. When I have been to proving grounds in the past, it's freezing cold, it's super hot, and they're very far north, very far south.
Yeah, that's true. The location here in central Indiana is certainly ideal for especially the companies that are very closely located. But, if you've ever had the opportunity to use Google Maps and draw a radius of 500 miles, that's a pretty big portion of the country and covers quite a few of the big fleets that exist around major hubs like, Indianapolis with all of its interstates that collect here. There's a big logistics and transportation presence here. You get all the way to southwestern Missouri where there's another big presence with fleets like Prime and some of those fleets located down in the southwestern Missouri area and then everywhere in between, right? And so, I just mentioned a couple, but you can go into the Carolinas where there's another big set of fleets and those sorts of things. So we really feel like, look, it's not that far to get here. It's certainly closer to come here than it is to go all the way to Arizona to find the desert or drive all the way up into Canada to find cold temperatures. And it's been our experience, sometimes you drive all the way to Canada to find cold temperatures and it's colder in Indianapolis than it is in Canada. So, you don't waste that time either. Again, Mother Nature can be a wonderful thing, but she can really damage your plans when she doesn't turn on the cold when you want it to be on.
You did also talk about, safe. We're not on a road. We're not doing traffic. Could you talk a little bit about if a visitor comes here and they're doing testing for their OEM or for their fleet, how do you protect their information? Who has access to those findings that are going on here?
Yeah, so the security and confidentiality of information has been an absolute requirement in this facility from the concept of it. We recognize that especially in the product development space where OEMs, suppliers, bodybuilders might be bringing us proprietary products, that they need reassurance that their information and their physical assets are confidential. So I'll talk about the information, then I'm going to throw it to David to talk about the physical security in the building here. But from a keeping your data and information confidential, we have, in addition to building this facility, we have also taken on the project of constructing a business system around how the facility works to support that confidentiality. So what we have is we've created a system that, first of all, when you think about the information technology infrastructure, number one is completely separate from Allison Transmission's network. So we are our own absolutely firewalled, secure network by itself. Then on top of that, we are using cloud-based technologies to enable communication with our customers through a secure portal. So we call that the partner community. And for our audience that comes and does business with us, what happens is when you start your relationship with us, you will get access to the partner community. And we want all communication, trading of information to occur through that partner community because we can guarantee the security and confidentiality of your information in the partner community. If you choose to email us stuff, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't guarantee where that email is going to go, right? And we are recommending and technically requiring our customers to use this partner community because we understand Allison Transmission has confidential information that we have to share with our partners, and it's always a gut check when you send it by email, right? And so we wanted to take that out of the equation. We want our customers to come here and understand that their data is secure and confidential, that they're the only ones that have access to it. In addition, we have in place data latency policies. That means that, look, the data that we collect for you as our customer, it isn't our data. It's not Allison Transmission's data. It's the customer's data. And so when you're done testing with us, our data latency policies, we make sure that you have your data and then we wipe it from our systems so that we don't have it anymore because it's not ours. So we won't keep it.
In addition to that, the facility itself is secured. Even though it's on the campus of Allison Transmission, it is a secure facility to where Allison employees just can't randomly walk into the facility. They have to be associated with a test. So we will have some Allison employees, such as a test technician, a test engineer that will be performing the test for our customers. But those individuals will sign NDAs such that, we have a means to enforce the fact that information won't get leaked throughout Allison's and the public. So when a customer comes to our facility, they'll be pre-registered in our system. We'll provide them an access barcode to where they can use to get in the main lobby entrance. If they're in the medium duty dine, it's located right next to the lobby such that they can walk right into that control room. Or if they're in the HD area, then we will meet them at the lobby door and walk with them into the HD control room, such that engineers have a tendency to want to kind of look around and see what the new and latest, greatest thing is, but we want to control that because we may have several vehicles in here that belong to different customers. And as Gene mentioned, to protect their IP, we want to make sure that other people aren't looking at it to see what they're doing. So we will protect their IP from that perspective. We can also, if a customer wants, isolate the vehicle by putting a tarp over it or putting it in a hot soak room, for example, if it's not in use, to keep it isolated. We have a very large ambient area as well that is not only used for soaking the vehicle at ambient temperatures, but also can be used to do fabrications on the vehicle from the standpoint of instrumentation. If there's a minor change that doesn't require a major teardown, then we can provide that resource out here as well, so that we can meet our customer needs and be very efficient for their testing while they're here.
It's interesting. I was actually going to ask if there's situations where you'd actually shroud a vehicle or shroud a piece of technology that comes in, just so, it's not like wandering eyes, but sometimes you can't unsee what you've seen. So it's nice to see that even from a physical standpoint, you're protecting that intellectual property and the ideas that are out there.
Yeah. One other thing I'd like to add too, we have an access point from the parking lot, which is not within the Allison area. Such that a vehicle could be delivered to us through that door and drive directly into the vet, and we unload it. So again, if it's covered up for IP reasons, we can ensure that it's not seen out in our parking lots. We'll pull it directly into the vehicle or the vet, unload it, put it in a secure area. And in that way, again, Allison employees will not see the vehicle and have knowledge of what it is.
How would someone reach out to you folks here and find out more, get a tour? What is the next step if someone's interested?
Yeah, so you can certainly go to our website, which is www.allisontransmission.com/VET or VET, and access the information that we have there. There is a location on that website to click a button called Service Inquiry or Ask a Question. And you can, submit a question to us, and that will initiate communication with us. If you're so excited about coming to see us that and you want to just immediately ask for a quote on something, there's also a request for quote button that's there. But I would also throw it over and say that David Proctor would be glad to take your phone calls and emails at any time and be a specific point of contact. We are open for business despite COVID-19 and happy to accept interested parties that want to come and tour the facility. And we're just really excited to be operating. We are looking very much forward to continuing the testing that we've already continued and continuing to expand the customer base that we're dealing with, because we have seen value inside Allison Transmission already from this facility and we want to make that available to others. So David, I don't know if you want to throw out your email address and phone number.
Sure. My cell phone number is area code 317-696-7017, or you can reach me via email at david.proctor, that's Proctor, at allisontransmission.com. And I'd like to throw out the welcome or the invite to anybody that would like to come see the vet. As Gene mentioned, we are following the COVID guidelines, so social distancing, masks, and those type of things we definitely take very seriously. But I think it's really you can look at the videos that are posted on our website and get a sense of what the vet is, but to actually come here and see it, the comments we've gotten for customers that have come here is pictures don't do it justice. It is really something that's state of the art. It's best in class, if you will, from an equipment standpoint in the facilities and the data collection that we can provide. And we've got a very resourceful team here, such that we're not just looking at providing chassis testing. We're also looking at, we can do HVAC testing, we can do cooler testing. If you want to test out your braking system, we can do that as well at different temperatures. So if you want a specific test that maybe doesn't exist today, we want to be innovative from the standpoint of coming up with a solution to provide that for you. We've got a very well-versed team here that has a lot of experience in testing. We're thinking outside the box. It's not the status quo as it is today. We're challenging the specifications to make sure that we can be the most effective for our customers.
Yeah, I think, David's making a great point there. A lot of the means and methods by which people validate their products and test certain things have certainly been developed with the constraints that exist in the means and methods that currently exist. Well, this facility brings to bear on the market capabilities that haven't existed, and it is allowing us to create a revolution in how testing is done. David earlier in the discussion mentioned our ability to save 40% because we're able to take the batteries out of the system and not on EV systems and not have to take time off to charge. Well, the same is true with our thermal capabilities. We are aware that oftentimes test cycles have built-in return soaks, if you will, where you come in, you're soaked cold or hot, and you test, and the vehicle changes temperature, and the ambient room that you're in, the cold room that you're in this case, would also increase in temperature because of the heat that the vehicle is putting out. Well, we have sized our facility to be able to maintain negative 54 degrees Fahrenheit with an 800 horsepower vehicle running full out in the facility. So all these tests that require these re-soaks in them because the vehicle and the ambient room have heated up, that's out of the equation now. You can test. The ambient temperature in the room is going to stay where we put it. You can keep testing. And that changes the way that you test. We're also finding some ways to innovate in testing, in that with our capabilities of simulating loads on the vehicle and roads, we actually performed a test earlier for an internal Allison customer that eliminated the need to take the vehicle and actually reconfigure the axles in it, actually change the hardware. We were basically able to simulate that hardware change, not doing anything physical to the vehicle, but using the dynes and the capability we have in the dynes to simulate different axle ratios in the vehicle. And that saved a huge amount of time in terms of we didn't have to go reconfigure the truck with all the labor and the equipment, or the alternative way to do that would have been to buy 5 or 6 different trucks with those different axle ratios. And we didn't have to do that. And that was a revolution in testing inside Allison Transmission. And we can offer those things. We're willing to work with our customers to think differently about how they're testing because we have capabilities that haven't existed before.
I think that's so exciting. And you can hear the excitement in your voice about that. I can imagine a fleet manager or even an engineer out there saying, wow, so now I can test things that I don't have to rebuild, refabricate, remanufacture, all on that site. I think that's outstanding.
Yeah, and I think for the fleets, I mentioned it before, this idea, fuel economy is such a big thing because the fleets are operating on such thin margins. It's astonishing to me as I've had the opportunity through my work at Allison Transmission over the years that I've been here to talk with our end users and, get a feel for what their pain points are and the problems that they're trying to solve. And it is remarkable to me the thin margins that those companies operate on and the absolute day-to-day battle they are in to find ways to have a healthy business, right? And this idea of being able to evaluate product configurations and equipment configurations in a much more controlled way than, like I said before, either renting a proving grounds and still being subject to Mother Nature, or just throwing the equipment out there and seeing what happens. And I know there are fleets out there, a nod to a lot of the fleets out there that do that very scientifically, but you're still spending months to try to normalize all that random variation out of the results. We could do that in a week, right? We can do it in a week and get you your answers. And then you can put that technology into play across your fleet rather than having to wait months to get it done, right? So it's just, I'm very excited about how this facility can help innovate the delivery of products to the market and the application of those technologies in the marketplace.
So as we've talked about this, I feel that, the vet has this holistic approach to looking at solutions no matter what we're trying to accomplish. Can you talk a little bit about during the consulting phase, or as someone arrives here, say they're interested in fuel economy, but are there other things that you could be looking for at the same time, once they've made that investment to come here, that really maximizes their spend, their time, their ability to improve products?
Yeah, I think, David, I'll let you have some time here with this question, because I know you're living this every day as we're engaging with customers today. But, that's absolutely what we're after, right? We're a place for solutions. We're not limited to any specific testing. Allison Transmission has a background in powertrains, but the facility is capable of testing any vehicle systems. And we are absolutely excited to test axles, to test engines, to test braking systems, to test HVAC systems. All of those things, right, are things that we can meaningfully test for our customers. I guess the other thing that we haven't stated clearly is what kind of vehicles can come to the facility. Well, we can handle anything that's an on-highway, most off-highway vehicles, wheeled defense vehicles. I mean, the range of vehicles that we can test in the facility is really extraordinary. And so that makes us open to anything from, certainly delivery trucks, that last mile delivery truck kind of thing, Class 8 logistics trucks, refuse trucks, cement trucks, agricultural vehicles, mining vehicles. Like I said, wheeled defense vehicles. All of those are open for us to test here. And so, David, I don't know if you want to talk about the various kinds of things that we have done or are exploring with our customers and how we're going out after offering those kind of solutions.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things that we've done, as Jean mentioned, thinking outside the box. So a customer came to us, they have a particular test they need to meet, and they didn't know exactly how to go about doing it. So we've worked with them very exclusively in defining what their needs are and then coming up with a solution that we can actually provide the test. The initial specification required 18 hours of soak. We determined that we could do that in a much shorter time period with our facilities and our abilities here to maintain temperature while testing. We basically handed them a solution and how to do the test and do it very efficiently and still do it within a time period that met their needs. They're kind of under pressure to meet the end of the year type scenario, and we were able to provide that for them. So we're excited about that aspect. We can also look at, if you want to bring a gen set, for example, and it's on a trailer, we can actually back the trailer into our soak cells and do testing on that. And we've done quite a bit of testing on controls and things to see what the cause and effect is going to be during minus 40 degrees.
Yeah, one of the other things that you mentioned it there by testing gen sets and stuff like that, but we've also had some preliminary conceptual discussions with folks like in the RV industry for testing, insulation ratings and those kind of systems. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be powertrain involved to be tested here. And I guess I want to expand on one thing that David mentioned there. Allison, David was talking about providing those solutions for our customers. Well, when you come here, and I have stated previously that this is a continuation of our ongoing legacy in product development. You're coming here and we have a pedigree for how to develop products and develop high quality, high reliability, durable products that have useful lives of 30, 40 years. And that's our history here. And so, we come from a place of already doing very heavy, complex vehicle integration. And what you get when you come here is that legacy. We know how to do this. Allison Transmission knows how to do those things. And now we're translating that over into the Vehicle Environmental Test Facility and bringing to bear and providing access to that kind of expertise inside this testing service so it can be applied to other people's products. And we're really excited about that. Allison's very proud of our legacy, and this is just the next evolution of how Allison is going to continue to push quality, reliability, and durability in the marketplace. This time we're doing it with a service.
It's so refreshing to hear this, and it almost sounds in talking with you two, you bring us something that you're trying to accomplish. Even if we haven't figured that out yet, we'll work with you to create a test, to create a dynamic that you're walking away with the information you need to solve that problem. I want to thank you both again for joining us here at the Allison Vehicle Environmental Test Center. To find out more about the VET's industry-leading testing capabilities, visit allisontransmission.com/vet. And thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.